Today we're going to shape a shortboard, and in this segment we're going to pick the blank and do the outline. If you know the board you want to end up with when you're choosing your blank, you have to make sure that it will accommodate the rocker, as well as the thickness, as well as the length. Let's check out the blanks we got. This one's a polyurethane from Arctic Foam. Also, we got a blank here from Marco. This is EPS. This one's got a bass stringer, solid bass. That one's a ply. Today we're gonna shape a 6'2", maybe 6'3". I snapped one of my boards and I'm just gonna basically make a replacement for it. This one I'd have to cut down a lot of foam if I was gonna make one. A 6'2" out of that. Super wide, thick. So we'll just find something that's a little closer to what I'm actually, the final shape. Thinner, a little bit more narrow, and the height more is what I'm looking for. So we'll go with this one. This one's actually a second, so it's not one of the first quality ones. And you get it cheaper. And it has defects like this right here. I have seen some guys where they do the rocker and the thickness first, but I was always taught to do the outline first. This is the board that I snapped right here. It just had a really light glass job. And then I took it out on a big day and it snapped. In this video, we're gonna choose this template right here because it's the most similar to the board that I broke. This template is 6'4", but I'm gonna cheat it down to a 6'3". First thing is the length. So you gotta decide how long you want it to be. That way you know where you're gonna put the nose of the outline and the tail. I was looking for the 6'2", 6'3" range, because that's what that one that I broke is. So you can see that I already drew the outline here, but I'm gonna show you exactly how I got there with these steps. When you start, you wanna start a little bit back from the tail, because you can see right here, it's not flat, and it's not gonna be the same thickness throughout. So you wanna go a little bit further back so the foam is more even. Then you're gonna mark it here, right where you want it. I'm just gonna go 6'3", and then you're gonna take the outline right here, and you're gonna line it up with that mark that you made there. Then you're gonna wanna draw the outline. If you don't have someone with you, just put a weight on it so it doesn't move. Important things to take note of is, depending on the outline you have, if you have a template, you should know if it lines up to the beginning of the stringer or the other side of the stringer. I typically do my template so you don't see any of the stringer. And you can see right here, it covers the full stringer. This template I think is only for a 6'4", but I'm going to 6'3", so I would need to cheat the template. This one I just did on the tail. I just cheated right here on the tail. Once you have the weight here and everything lined up, then you're gonna draw the outline. You wanna press down. And then you keep going all the way around it. Well, there's a couple things I wanted to do. One, I think the tail on that other board was a little too thin, so I wanted the tail a little bit wider than this one. And the other thing is longer than the board I want. So since this was already broken right here, I just cheated it, moved this back like this basically, so that it'd be wider. See how it's wider now? Like that. But you want to keep the same curve, like you don't want to go off like this, so you want to follow this curve and just go back like that. And then I drew it out like that, right there. Press it down, just draw it out. I just went off the whole blank. And then, since I'm not doing just a straight cut off, you just take this basically and do the little curve right there to make it a squash tail. When you're flipping the template, it's really important here to put some marks on the blank and on the template. See, I put this one right here, and then I draw it on the foam right there. That way when you flip it over, you know this mark has got to line up right there. Because otherwise you could scoot it further back and then it would be off from side to side. Vice versa like that. So then when you flip it, you draw this right here. And then on this side as well. And then you draw this line to over the stringer, and then you just line it up like that. You line it up here on the nose, put the weight back on it, and draw it out. I did the same thing with the tail here. You can kind of actually see right here where this one stopped and this one started. I just basically lined it up and something like that. I just want to keep it the same. After I draw the outline, I like to look at it standing up so you can see the whole thing. You just take a couple steps back and you just decide, is this board going to be fun? Now you cut it out. There's obviously different ways you can do this as well. A regular saw, you can cut it out with a specialty saw. I've seen people cut it out with a router. They just put a router bit in there and zzz, all the way back. You can also do it with a jigsaw, which is what we're gonna demonstrate today. You're gonna wanna wear safety glasses and a respirator for this. You can also check out our video on equipment for more information. You want to make sure that you're cutting straight up and down right here, and you don't want to cut through the rack. So you got to see where the rack is right here and make sure you stop there, move the blank, and start cutting again. Easier to cut the stringer with the jigsaw than obviously with the planer. The planer will chip it out, don't try and do that. So it's good to go right at the length with the jigsaw. There's 4 of these stand obstacles. At one point, you'll probably end up cutting through it. I know I have, but just something to watch out for. You can see how unperfect the outline is. I like to leave extra because I feel more comfortable working with the planer than with that jigsaw. So I'll leave extra here so that I can take it down with the planer. So you set the board here, you come over so that you're not gonna hit your racks here. Put a weight on it because you're gonna be pushing it, it's gonna wanna slide this way. You got your standard Hitachi. So what I like to do is I like to wrap around the cord here. This is really so it doesn't snag on something when you're working with the planer. The worst thing to do is you're working with the planer and the cord gets caught on something and it pulls the planer and takes a chunk out of the board. I like to use my right hand on the trigger and my left hand on the knob. The knob is going to adjust the height, which is going to adjust how much you're taking off. The important thing to remember here is that it's a gradual thing. You want there to be smooth lines. You're not going to get smooth lines if you're turning that knob quickly. So when you're turning the knob, it's really a gradual thing. You're slowly opening it and slowly closing it. That's really the way to get smooth lines. You could do this with a block and sandpaper. This one's just going to be a little bit faster. It's going to take off a little bit more. And I think too it's going to be a little bit more uniform. It's going to be a little bit straighter. If you were going to do it with a block and sandpaper, the trick is really to go quickly. You want to move from nose to tail, one full pass, and you want to go with some speed, because if you go with speed, you'll tend to take the bumps down, the high spots, whereas if you go kind of slower, you might just sand down the high spots and low spots at the same rate. Basically, I took it down to the pencil line. So if you look now on the rail, you'll see it's right up to the pencil line. I like to take 36 grit sandpaper and just a block of wood and take it down to where it's just a tiny bit left of the pencil line.
So I like to go quickly here, quicker motions. Sometimes I won't go nose to tail because I'll just focus on one area, and it's fine as long as you blend it. You just got to remember you want to blend everything in. You can look at it kind of at an angle like this, and you can see any deviations. You can see any bumps or any dips, and that's really what you want to be looking for in this stage right here, is dips or bumps. And then you're going to go back with the block and you're just going to knock down those high spots. You don't want to worry about the dips, because if you're trying to hit the dips with the block, it's just going to take more down. From this angle too, you can kind of see there's a little flat spot. This is another thing you don't want in the board. So here we're just going to round it out. And you want to make sure when you're going over the flat spots, you're not actually hitting the flat spot, you're just hitting the parts in front or behind it. And that's kind of, that'll round it out. So here I am checking with a shaper square just to see how square the board is. And you can see on the tail here, there's a little bit extra foam on the right side. Also here's just a regular square, and you can also use that as well. You don't need a shaper square.